Harrison,
Hello.
lovely to see you again. I thought it would be interesting to talk about what people will not get from watching any of our films or coming to our Patreon or coming to any of the workshops I do, which I might do at your place as well sometime. And one of those things is learning how to make somebody else's fragrance exactly the same so they can sell it cheaper, which I think we all get asked about. In fact, our neighbour down when we had the other studio, the first time we met the neighbour was when she knocked on the door to see if we wanted to rent out her other building, and she said, "Oh, you make perfume? Can you make me Chanel No. 5 cheaper?" And the answer is no.
Yeah.
No,
it's like imagine meeting a chef and saying, "Can you, whack me up a nice Ritz meal just there and then?"
Yeah, or yeah,
it's a bit like.
And while some people do want to make other people's aromas to see how it's done, which is fine because it's fine to do it to see how it's done.
As a study.
Yes, like you said about art students, you will see people all around the V&A and galleries with their papers and pens sketching to understand how it's done and how something's constructed, which is fine for practice, but it's not fine for selling. And there's always people, well, there usually are people who just think that they want to get into perfumery in order to see if they can get rich quick. And the whole get rich quick thing doesn't really work.
Yeah. Yes,
so,
doesn't.
So, doesn't. No. Hard work, long times. So I thought maybe we could smell some things that I have made for customers which I've said yes to because they want it to be different from anything else that's ever existed. And that's when I say yes. And what I hope is that people come to, learn things that I can tell them, which is about exploring new things and how to put them together in a completely different way. So, writers, it's actually good to copy out somebody else's words to get a feel for the sentences and the punctuation and how many adjectives go in there. But you don't expect to copy it and type it all up and say, "Here, I've written Great Expectations again," because it's been done. That's okay. So that have you had any requests? I bet you've had some requests.
Yeah.
It's like, will you make me a Ventus? And is that yours? Yeah. Will you make me a Ventus, and will you make me anything that Tom Ford's ever made?
Or more. Sometimes it's more subtle than that. It's just, this is doing really well on the market. Hint, hint. As if to say, can we make it a bit more like that? Or for example, a Ventus is popular.
Yeah.
And we have some of the DNA in it, and of course it's sometimes quite hard to do something without Ventus DNA these days. If you use certain things.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
Ventus DNA.
It's not genuinely deoxyribonucleic acid.
No, no.
But can we copy a load of the formula?
One hair of Oliver Creed.
Yeah. Can we?
Or just the bits that make it that make it tick, that make it recognisably a Ventus across all the different clones,
right? And
even across some of the things that weren't clones and some of the things before Ventus.
And basically, what they call clone is a counterfeit. Let's say clone makes it sound as if it's not quite so terrible, but it's counterfeiting. It's it's stealing somebody else's work, and this is not. At least I hope, because I don't know what that thing smells like. So I don't mostly know what lots of niche fragrances smell like. I don't know, but so this is something which is
fruity leather.
It is a fruity leather, isn't it? It is to smell like lots of different things. It's I won't say the name yet because it's not released yet, but this is just going to 3 different people to evaluate. But the client likes it. And it's to smell a little bit like a lot of drinks at a bar. And then so it's a seaside, it's kind of a beach bar. So it's going for a slightly clandestine meeting with somebody you crossing your fingers about.
Okay. So the way I see it is almost like a still life painting, but in a tyre. You know, arrangement of a still life, but all the oranges and stuff are flowing out of some.
But they're in a double lock tyre.
It is quite.
Because smoky fruits. Because I think I said last time, someone was asking me, what the combinations would never work, and I said smoky fruits. But then of course,
here you go. And then of course I'll let the Gonda go and make one.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a fair amount of vetiver.
Is it just birch tar or using the Cuir de Russie thing?
I'm not using the Cuir de Russie thing. I'm using my own Cuir de Russie thing.
Mm.
So I didn't use the Tabarone one because it might be compounded in the US and it's really difficult to get that stuff.
Yeah.
The Cinnarome things, not Tabarone, the Cuir de Russie Cinnarome. But
what are those things?
Oh, these are bases which are made by Cinnarome, and I used one of them in one of my clients' fragrances, which is going to be compounded by Perfumer's Apprentice for him because he's in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I thought I'd make things which are from widely available materials, and I chose this particular base as well. And it turns out the importers for Cinnarome don't import that into the US, so I had to ship mine over there for them to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So, bit of an extra faff. So, but that it's happened though. We've made it happen.
Mm.
But I find this a bit terrifying at the beginning, but the client likes it. Like he wants it to be a bit of a shock because
shocking.
The skin, I like it better on skin.
Oh, okay.
But also this is not something I would ever make for myself because this is way too
jarring.
It's very in the thanks a lot. It's in a very blokey department. It softens, give it like
it's already softening. Mm.
Yeah, but it is supposed to be a bit a bit of a adrenaline rush when you first smell it.
Yeah.
But if it smells like anything else that exists, then I'd be surprised. But this is the thing. There's this picture that the client wanted, sort of painting invisibly, so I did it.
Mm.
I'm just looking over here at the
they're just random
leather pamplemousse.
Random things that were in my bag. I didn't really think ahead, so.
That's right. I didn't tell you what I was thinking about. I only thought about it this morning.
Oh, okay.
Because it depends what I've been asked most recently.
Yes.
But I think people don't. First of all, they don't realise how difficult it is to copy something.
Mm-hmm.
That it is a skill, but that you'd only do it usually to hone your skills.
So
it's part of learning.
Well, is it possible to do the noses and people exist to be able to copy something perfectly without a mass spectrometer?
It used to be the way that it was done all the time, and that's exactly what perfumers are trained to do. If you go to perfume school, they're trained to be able. It's like going to cookery school, and they say, right, make that pastry, do that, do that, do all the basics, and then do it half price.
Mm-hmm.
And there are. Let's make something in the style of that. There's definitely that. This trend is fashionable. Let's do this. It's like films and music.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody introduced, like when the Syndrome was introduced to 80s music, and then every band had the Syndrome. Or it's that sound,
exactly.
bing, 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 boom, ball. That suddenly goes everywhere. Or there was Star Wars, and then suddenly there were space films a go-go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, let's make one like that. That's okay. But somebody says, let's remake that. Yeah.
Well,
even that happens sometimes. Look at June.
Well, no, but I mean, economically, the sad thing is that remakes and things that were books, at least in the film world, tend to be far more lucrative than new things. Think about all of the flops that then became better films when they were remade. I think some did a statistic. Most of the money in film is sequels and prequels and remakes. But I think it's probably the same is true in perfumery. You can talk about that some more.
I think you're right.
But there's this lovely phrase where everything is a remix. It's not possible to make something disconnected from everything else.
And an idea is just two other ideas put together in a new way.
Yeah.
So I'll let someone one. Different one.
May I have a smaller pen? Can I have the pen with the blue lid, please?
That one there?
Yes.
Yeah. I should write on this one.
Was this the clear one?
Yeah. It says sun dappled glade. You could turn it sideways if you want to read it more easily.
I thought glade.
like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm
No,
not.
not glade
I'm not
as in
writing
air
all that.
freshener.
Yeah.
No,
It's certainly
SDG.
a sun-dappled glade, this.
Glade. Oh, glade is in a geographical feature.
Yes, not as
See,
in
it's
the air
been so long.
freshener.
I've heard it since geography.
Yes, that's fair enough. This is not. This is a version of one, which this is for the January Joy box actually next year's. But this is one which will in fact appear in a similar form, but not. This is not the final version. This is a mod for my client in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's very pleasantly Helione cedar.
And
With
it's,
some sort of pepper or pink pepper or something like that.
if I could remember, I'd tell you, Harry.
Or maybe some grape methyl pamplemousse.
No, I didn't do that, but there's probably some cis-3 hexanyl acetate.
Ah, okay.
What it is it's leaving the forest. So you're just into grasslands.
Yeah, it's bitter, something bitter that I can't think what it is, apart from the... Because it's not fruity to me, it's,
It's not supposed to be.
no.
What do you think the cis-3 hexanyl acetate is? Oh, we've got told off. I got request. Would we say things more
Slower,
slowly?
with subtitles.
Cis-3 hexanyl acetate. For me, it's like cut grass that's been on the compost heap for a day.
Ah, okay.
So it started to go a bit fermenty, but
For me
still quite
it's-
sharp.
Yeah, for me it's more like, goes in the fruit direction. So some sort of skin of a fruit.
I might have put cis-3 hexanyl.
There's some sort of bitter, it's not galbanose, is it? In there?
Oh, could be.
Um,
You see, I just don't know.
Okay.
Like I say, if anybody wanted to kidnap me and find out my secrets, they'd have to make sure they kidnap my book as well, because I can't remember.
okay.
I remember what it's intended to be. But the nice thing about the Misk Goods Co. is that they never wanted to do fragrances until Tyler smelt Maxed Out and
Oh, really?
Midnight
Okay.
in the Palace Garden and went, "What? You mean perfume can smell like that?" He didn't like shop stuff, and then he decided he wanted some. So now the idea is, and for me, I just want to make things that smell completely different from anything else, because he doesn't want anything that smells like anything that exists on the market.
Yeah.
So this is my idea of
Yeah.
fun, big fun. Go, dip a thing.
Oh, okay. No, I have a leathery thing.
Yeah, let's smell a leathery thing.
Oh, I need to make 3, don't I? I don't know why I didn't pick up the third one.
I keep forgetting. It's not that we don't know you're there.
It's fun.
Don't know how to describe this. It's a kind of quite a dark leather with a marijuana top note.
Thank you. Marijuana.
Yeah?
What do you want to be? Very close indeed to me. That's my Alan Hull homage, that is. And only about 10 people will get that reference. Is that saffronate, or am I making that up?
No, but some safraline,
Okay.
I think. I can't remember now.
It's difficult.
No,
when
it's
you've got
mainly
books and stuff.
based on lanthanum extracts.
Is it?
So the special sisters you like.
So now you mention it, now that's what I smell. That's what we were talking about earlier. We were discussing earlier on the Fragrance Foundation the class about writing about perfume. That, what a notes list actually for, not to say what's in it, but they're to open a conversation.
Yeah.
And if somebody says it smells of this, then you go,
Yeah,
"Oh,
exactly.
yeah."
And humans are so bad, even professionals at picking out notes in perfumes. I mean, we probably discussed the Leng limit before, which is the physiological limit of how many things you can smell in a blend.
Yeah.
And it's about 5, even if you're trained.
Yeah.
So if you have a mixture of 30 things, even if you train on all of them, and you're given a random mixture, if there's more than 5, you can't pick out that number. generally.
So
Or
there's
You can smell that it's a mixture of certain
still
things.
changes the smell,
Yeah.
the extra things, but generally you can pick out one, and this is just, let me give you a mix and you tell me what's in it. So a free exercise. But then, it seems like even if, so you do 1, 2, 3, and then some people will be able to do 4 or 5 correctly, but after that the rate of correct answers just drops off a cliff.
Wow.
But like we're not, if you think about the evolution of human smell, it's not really for identification, it's for signalling, and like, am I in danger? And that almost never requires what's called analytical abilities. So what is in this? What are the different component parts of this? That's not useful for a creature typically. It's more like the overall thing, is it bad or good? Sorry, why are we talking about that?
You're talking about how many things you can
Talking
smell.
about notes lists.
Yes.
And I mean, the fact that if something has 3 top, 3 middle, and 3 base, and people say, "Oh, I can't really tell." It's like nobody can.
No, exactly.
So don't kick yourself.
That's surely why it's so difficult to counterfeit someone's perfume without a mass spectrometer.
Well, the weird thing is, I would say that if you're trying to create a perfume, so if I wanted to make something smell like this, I could probably do it. But it might not contain the same things as Harry used to make his.
Right, okay, yeah.
So, and even with a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer or the liquid chromatograph mass spectrometer and all the other things they have in Headspace, you can't, it'll never be quite the same. So, I mean, when I made something like St. Paul's Cathedral Library First Impressions as you open the door, there isn't actually any chocolate in there, but I use Cocoa Absolute because I could smell it in the mixture, and there isn't any vetiver hanging around, but vetiver gives the impression of that aroma. So
right.
and the whiskey one downstairs. I mean,
it's your impression.
labdanum, oak moss, ambrox, all kinds of interesting things in there, but no whiskey. So, and so it's one of the reasons why if I copied something, it'd probably be 10 times more expensive than the materials I used to do it. Because one thing about not going to perfume school is you don't learn how to make less expensive creation. I'm not that bothered.
No.
There's hundreds of people out there whose job it is to make less expensive creations in that genre. A Star Wars style, if you know what I mean. Make a film that's like that with a different story. Because somebody else has got one like this and we need one. There's a lot of that in commercial perfumery, and that's a different job. Mine is, that's why I don't work for anybody else really, except clients who appreciate this kind of bonkers thing. I like making things which are a bit nuts, but that's the thing about setting up your own business or being self-employed. Is you can do most of the time you can decide. If somebody says make this but make it cheaper, it's always going to be a disaster for people like me. It's like it's a red flag, and even if they we'll pay you this much, it's not going to work. This not going to work out.
It's a different mindset.
Yeah. So you have to recognise that.
And it goes without saying that almost all of the dupe fragrances they'll be made for maybe half or less of the price of the original, and that's their selling point, right? And probably in some cases it's 10% the cost per kilo for them to buy it. But you get all sorts of weird, slightly BS marketing claims. Like there was one thing I saw recently, and it was a dupe company who claimed to be buying the identical oil from the supplier who supplies Chanel. So they were trying to say, well, we're not copying it; we're just buying the same oil.
I sigh. And this is the thing that was like handbags in the 1980s, or like fake Louis Vuitton handbags. And I know this because I wrote a book on it. I was on Richard and Judy.
On Louis Vuitton.
I wrote a book on counterfeits
nice.
and why people buy them. And
so you could be an expert counterfeiter.
I could be, but
not a kitchen fitter.
I choose kitchen counterfeiter. Very good. Harrison, that's nice. But there's this thing that, say, the Turkey, they're the second biggest counterfeiters in the world. China's the
talking
bigger.
about the meat, okay.
No, not turkey.
Because a lot of turkey meat is not turkey meat.
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of ham is in fact turkey.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Subway sandwiches have just been taken to court in America because apparently their tuna has they've got traces of lamb, pork, and beef in the tuna.
That's
Really?
unusual. Yeah.
It's made of
Not tuna.
Mystery meat. Yeah.
So where were we? Yes, cabbage. Let me tell you about cabbage. Not the aroma, but it's known as. So they will say, "Oh, but you know, it's exactly the same. We just cut it really carefully. They give us this amount of leather to make the bags, and we just cut it really carefully. So there's some extra. So it's actually exactly the same, but we can sell it at a lot less.
This is turkey or cabbage?
The extras
Yeah.
are known as cabbage."
Ah.
In the world of counterfeiting and brands and all that, that's what
So-
they call.
so
So when they
British.
say, "Oh, we bought the exact same stuff," you know, the same factory makes it, but this is the leftover, so we just
Well,
take it and
exactly.
put it in cheaper bottles. It's a lie. The same factory does not have leftover Chanel number 5.
No, why would they?
But
Why would they?
in the case of TK Maxx, apparently they do. As in, lots of things in TK Maxx are made by the same company, but they have a discount line that looks the same, but because they know the volume in TK Maxx is so high.
Now, I'll tell you even better than that, because I've met the people, the buyers from TK Maxx, as they asked about whether or not I wanted
yeah.
to put some in there. And it is really the same stuff. They just allow some out.
Oh, I see. No, but apparently some brands specifically make another line that's just maybe less quality control or something.
I think that might be a myth.
Okay.
I mean, the cabbage thing, or they always kind of this is why it's less expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes things are just left over. But, I mean, Louis Vuitton do not make any handbags outside France and Spain. There are no spares left over being made in Turkey, you know, out of the same stuff, and Morocco and all the places where they sell counterfeits. But it sort of sounds better, like, oh, it's from the same factory, so
Yeah.
it's just as good, but it's spare. That's just lies.
Having said that, does happen in perfumery world for materials. So
Well, yeah.
you can buy Jarvanol from Givaudan, but then there are plenty of other Jarvanols made in the same factory, because there's a big Jarvanol factory in India, and some of it goes to Givaudan, and some of it goes elsewhere. That does happen.
Ah, yeah.
So
Okay.
often you have to test it and look at the isomers, but often it's the same. Yeah.
That was just something that ought to be sort of looked into.
Yeah, although if they're just, you know,
Okay, and
as in
then
it's not illicit. It's just they're
Yes.
Givaudan are buying a certain quantity of Jarvanol, and then the rest is
the rest is
it's
something else.
not owned by Givaudan anymore.
But once, yeah, exactly. Once it's out of patent.
Captivity, yeah.
Yeah, once it's out of patent, it's fine.
Oh, exactly, and it is. So
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
So anyone can make it. So that is legit. But handbags are still
Patented.
patent. Yeah, and well, copyright. Perfumes sort of aren't, but so this is one I made for Steve Shippey, the 13th Floor Fragrance Company, and he knows exactly what he wants his fragrances to smell like, and specifies.
Quite
Materials
almondy.
I get
This is quite
I get violets.
That's because it's quite violety. Because
We smelled something similar last time, right? Some different version of this.
what was it, that one? I remember things from when I was 2. I don't remember things from last week.
Okay.
But yes, probably. But Steve,
Oh, I've written
he's the one who does the television programme Haunted Saginaw. Apparently violets turn up a lot in the...
Right.
the
It's something about
supernatural
Victorian
Yeah.
teenage girls, probably.
Oh, maybe.
So I feel like that's a very...
They would smell of violets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we know about those things. So yes, things we make. So I do sort of have a point. My sort of point is I really like to encourage people to experiment a lot, but see if they can make something different. That's just
This is not perfume, this is a base, but you have to guess what it is.
it's all about the base.
Mm.
Oh, my Zoom group was going nuts about your tuberose base again.
It seems like a cycle. It's like every half a year.
Ooh.
It's really. Is it nettles?
That'd be very, very esoteric.
No, they grow out of the ground. They're very terric. Sorry. It's a base. Is it?
It's
Is
very
it the
leafy.
moon?
It's an aromatic material. Are these used?
No.
Okay, I'll give you another base, and then you can compare them. But the other one's very different, so probably not.
Okay. It smells like snow to me.
Is it? To me, it smells incredibly green.
Snow in the forest. Snow on nettles.
Nettles.
Well-
Okay.
I'm getting nettles.
So
This is how good we are at this. Like, you give us a no clue, then we're.
yeah, I know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is the other one.
Mmm.
Okay.
Fruit or vegetable?
Fruit.
Okay, that's good.
Sweet shop. Taking the jars off some interesting boiled sweets.
Yeah.
Probably going down the pear route.
Yes. Pear drops.
So meant to be tinned peaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Modelled it off.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
I get
good.
tin peaches.
Good. That one's simple then. The other one
Nettle soup.
But-
is more floral. It's meant to be orris. You smell it?
Oh well, I think it's the ghost of an orris.
Mm.
Because,
I mean, as I
because
say,
you don't like orris.
I don't like Orange Zivko, and Orange Zivko is like a nuclear Oris.
But Oris Shivko is an awful lot like Oris butter.
I feel like it isn't. But then we've had this
You've got
disagreement
this, and then Oris butter's about there, and then Oris Shivko's there. I would say this is very polite then.
Mm.
Are you making a peach
Well,
Oris?
oh, I haven't tried that.
I did.
I could try that.
But is
Peaches,
it
yeah.
is it in syrup or is it in its own juice?
Who, the Oris? Oh.
No,
The
the
peaches.
tin peaches.
It's in the syrup for me.
I
syrup.
think syrup.
So too sweet.
Mm,
No, it's just in the syrup.
no, not too sweet.
Do.
Because I didn't want to do the fuzzy peach. I wanted to do the chopped, syrupy kind of.
That got that. That's exactly what I'm
whipped
getting.
cream.
Goldfish peaches.
Is that a brand?
No, it's like when they pour out of the tin, it's like emptying the goldfish into something else
Yeah.
when you need to clean the bowl out.
It is.
They're like kind of sloppy.
Oh no.
Sorry.
No, it's true.
No, because
we-
during lockdown, my parents got loads of tins of peaches at one point. Because
Right.
my dad got very worried that there was going to be no food,
Yeah.
and that was going to be the dessert.
Tin
Right.
peaches
And
are.
so we
you've
tried
been
it.
living
Then
on
there
that.
wasn't really a need because the shops didn't properly shut.
Yeah.
But we still had it a few nights, and it was good.
yeah.
Tin
Nick,
peaches are great.
Nick got
I've
for the
got
same
time.
reason. He bought 1 can of tin pineapple.
Well, that's not going to last, is it?
No.
That's like one pizza.
Yeah.
One pizza.
No, I want to say.
Not that I put pineapple on
We
a
still
pizza.
have it. We're gonna turn it into something.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, he still has. Yeah. I like frying them actually in sugar and
Yeah.
butter.
Frying them.
Yeah.
You
This is new to me.
caramelise them. Sugar,
Mm.
alcohol, stir it, bit of butter, stick the pineapple in until it sizzles. Or
Is that you
goes
make an
soft and
upside down
brown.
cake?
Except you don't bother with the cake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
then you
well,
put creme
perfect. I
fraiche
mean,
on.
without the cake though.
Or
Recipe.
batter them.
Really?
Yeah, batter them. Fry
I'm
them.
not so
Okay, I
good at
wouldn't-
I'm not so
I
good
wouldn't
at
do
cooked
that.
fruit. That really bothers me sometimes.
But you don't put it with meat. I wouldn't put it with savoury.
no, when cooked
just
fruit
by
with meat I
itself.
can eat, but cooked
Oh.
fruit in a crumble is.
Oh, lovely.
I know.
love
I
crumb.
don't think I'm northern enough to appreciate crumbles.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
But Nick's very southern and you
Yeah,
can't
that's
stop
true.
him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
the cooking with Harry and Sarah.
Anyway, the
Garfield
formula for
later.
this is on the Facebook group. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind. Well, which one? The Oris one. Oh, that
Oris.
was. Oh, it's terrifically complicated. I never got.
Well,
I haven't
yeah.
got 97 of those materials, so I'm
there's
not
only,
going to
there's
do
only
it.
15 in there, I think.
Oh, okay,
so,
sorry.
yeah. But no,
It
because
smells like tobacco now.
there's a lump of keflis in there.
Oh, right.
Which sounds like
Yes.
some sort of Greek STD.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's kind of that tobacco-y. But no,
Yeah.
the reason, well, because obviously there are some normal materials in there, but Oris does not contain normal materials.
Mm.
So you either have to use very expensive irones and inones,
Yeah.
well, just very expensive
yeah,
iron-ons and
iron-ons.
normal iron-ons.
Yes.
Cheap iron-ons.
Yeah.
And or you do some, but then it's hard to get the waxy bits and the other orosy things. So that's why the formula is what it is. So there's some carrot seed in there. There's actually a tiny bit of Damascones. In this case, Damasceno.
And how is it on the rigs, eh?
On the what?
Regulations. How is
fine.
It?
Yeah,
Good.
I don't think there's anything. Well, there's only 0.03% Damascone total. So like, you'd have to dilute it. You'd have to have it at 60%, and it'd be fine.
So.
I found it possible to.
Arthur's got it stuck it up his nose.
Is that good?
Can't take it seriously. Yeah.
Just inhale it.
Good, yeah, you can.
Because I thought I was sort of aldehyde on this peach thing. I was thinking, oh, is that the?
I'm trying to remember how I made the peach. The peach form is also available.
Also available.
Also available. It's like a QVC, isn't it?
Also available for nothing because he's lovely.
Yeah. Limited availability. But the peach. I can't remember how I made it. Loads of lactones. People miss out the fruity notes in peach, and they often just do loads of aldehyde C14 and then miss out on the cis-reactional acetate. Very important.
Okay.
And then there's some other tracy things that are hard to dose. Sulfur-free things.
Sharon and Tracy.
Who's
Sorry.
that? The only Tracy knows Tracy Beaker.
Sharon and Tracy would be sort of generic 1980s television characters.
Right. Oh, I see. What we need is like a translation that replaces all the references that people have for their own where they grew up.
Yeah.
So Tracy Beaker is they have no idea what that is.
Yeah, because Ida Meister was reviewed our book, some of my book, because we managed to get this far without mentioning the book, and. She said it helps if you have a working knowledge of British slang. And we sort of don't even notice that we use it, I suppose.
I see. Yeah.
We're just want to make people laugh. So that's another thing as well, making accords, because people, have you got a recipe to make a rose accord? I'm like, well, it's made of this, do your own. So sometimes it's good to give people examples and say, look, you can do it like this. That's what I tend to do.
Then you end up smelling it somewhere and you think, oh, how did that get
there? I know, but I think it's sort of just, it's like having foxes in the garden. I'm not going to put a fence around them and keep them in. They're lovely, and they're growing up, you think, oh, they're there, and then they're off. And then some of them die, and what can you do? But, so you take pleasure but it's not a lot like foxes in the garden. But I mean, I'm thinking about setting things free, and that includes formulas.
Yeah.
If they come back and you think, "Oh, is that one of mine?" I choose to feel pleased.
Yeah.
If I find that somebody had taken it and were charging £300 a bottle for it and claimed it was theirs, I'd want to smack them in.
So this is why the idea of grandfathering is quite good with the Perfumery Code of Ethics.
Yeah.
If you reference something heavily, you should mention it.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's using a GC or using, to be fair, I think if you smell it and you work on it based on smell, then maybe you don't need to mention too much. But I was also thinking, coming back to the art thing. I mean, think about Da Vinci's studio with all of his apprentices copying the exact same model, and that's why there are so many copies of various paintings that are not by Da Vinci but look pretty much the same.
School of Da Vinci.
School of Da Vinci, yes. Exactly. So it was incredibly important imitation. Art was imitation for thousands of years, and it kind of still is in some ways. The idea of making something entirely new, that was an abstract thing.
Oh, do you think you are?
Yeah.
And it's a lot. Also Chinese and Japanese art is that you're supposed to take that painting and do your version.
Yeah. I mean, even so Vermeer's is it his self-portrait? Oh no, the portrait of the young man. Not Vermeer, Van Eyck.
Okay.
That was one of the first portraits to be face on, and that was very controversial because people only portrayed from side on before that.
Wow.
And you can imagine that's like nothing for us, but creativity has not always been a thing, I feel.
This is slightly off topic.
Yes. Go on, back to...
Well, no, I was going to take you even further off topic.
Oh, this is nice. What's this?
This one.
Oh. Ooh.
Here... people didn't smile in photographs until quite recently.
Mm.
And if you have your photograph taken, like when I get customers from Kuwait and Dubai, right, and they come to make, and they say, "Can we have a photograph?" I go, "Absolutely," and I'm going, and they're all going. They're looking quite like film stars. If you think about film stars' photographs from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's all it's quite sort of demure and perfect and calm, and you didn't smile. You didn't smile in photographs.
I found it's a much surefire way to get a nice photo if you don't smile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's different associated, but lots of these expressions change their meaning. So apparently, eye rolling used to be considered romantic in Victorian times.
Really?
Yeah. So if a girl was like, I can't even do it, but
goodness me, that explains it.
oh, Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh, if I had £1 for every eye roll.
But I do wonder how these things change culturally. This is nice.
Yeah.
This is I feel like this is something I tried to make a few years ago and failed at spectacularly.
Well, I made this one, so that makes me happy. But it is a combination of a seaside salty thing and a rose to make a salt rose.
And vetiver.
It's making me, actually, we referenced June earlier. I saw it the other night at the cinema.
It's the spice.
This makes me feel like I'm on the planet of June. Hot.
It's called...
With the spice in the air, yeah.
No, that's the clan of... I forget the name of the planet. Anyway.
Yeah, just the giant round sand dune.
So I just made this for us. I've gone a bit...
It's very salty.
It's really nice.
So I went Italian then.
Could I try it?
Salty.
Is it very salty?
Yeah, try it on. Whoops, that's the one.
I know it's a little bit cloudy. Is that...
Amaris.
Okay. Yeah.
I've just given up trying to filter the Amaris. Just, eventually it goes clear, sometimes eventually it doesn't. This one likewise.
Oh, I see. But if it's going... Are any of these going into wax? Or...
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I mean, this one, the Sun Dapple Glade, actually is going into wax, but it also works in this.
Wow, yeah, that's lovely.
I think vetiver rose, I keep underestimating that. Because I always think they don't grow because it's like, well, if I'm doing a rose, it's going to be patchouli. But then actually...
This is for Tara. Well, partly I like the idea of not knowing what things are supposed to go together. So, But like I say, if somebody says this doesn't go with this, probably the pair of us will both go, I think I'll try it and see what happens, rather than not. Yeah. What I did have a point. I sort of had a point. And my point is sort of, you know what my point is? That I don't, there isn't a fast way, nor do I think it's any fun, just to learn to copy stuff. If you're going to make your own perfumes, you want to be an artisan perfumer, it's probably because you want to bring something different and do something that's not been done before, like writing books. You might want to write in a certain style. I love writing in the style of 1930s cozy crime mystery novels.
Yes, it's stylistic copying is good. Well,
but completely different stories.
Yeah.
And I'd take the Mickey more probably.
Well, there's now algorithms that can do that. They can
badly
write,
though.
Well, no, but the ones for visual art are quite good. So you can copy Van Gogh style onto another painting. It does it quite well. Because they almost know what the essence of a Van Gogh is. And maybe you have a McCartney aid, like a Girlinade.
Oh, I've got a choose dad.
Choose date.
Yes, well it's Girlinade really, isn't it?
Girlinade.
So I've got choose dad.
That just sounds
but
like
I didn't use that.
someone's
father, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, that is so interesting because it reminds me of when I first started making perfume.
That makes me feel like it's
I don't know why.
This is a reject, by the way.
That's it.
Yeah. But it was rejected on the basis of being too out there. I
like it a lot. It's the kind of thing that I just wanted to make all the time.
So it's a metallic yuzu. So it's
right.
That is exactly what I'm getting now. You've said it.
Metal yuzu, is it you? So that that's
Mewtwo.
That sounds like a Pokemon.
It does. That's Mewtwo.
Oh yeah.
Well.
This rose is very nice. So I can match the rose.
Thank you, Harry.
Yes. I'm also
made that
wearing
for
it.
Tara. That's basically Tara Katzenbaum's perfume.
It smells like I've just spent the day at the beach, and just
with
getting ready to go for some dinner.
It
in
was from-
Dubai.
Yeah, somewhere hot.
Well, it feels very Arabic to me.
It's sort of. Oh, that's interesting because it's sort of Whitstable. It was all
The rose is so jammy though.
Yeah,
It's not really an
actually,
English tea rose. It's more like a.
you're right. It is quite a jammy rose.
Mm.
So it's seaside roses, Rosa rugosa, the seaside, and jam.
Okay.
Well, it could be in Dubai. It could be, but
Yeah.
okay. So have we got methyl pamplemousse in here?
Yeah, probably.
So can we remember what we put in things? No.
And there's a material called dihydroyuzu-lactone in there, which is the thing that gives the metal. So that's why I did it, because I thought, it's the very hot iron metallic note.
Dihydroyuzu lactone. Yeah.
But it's also not found in yuzu. The yuzu lactone is found in yuzu, but the dihydro one smells wonderfully like printers malfunctioning. So
That one.
yeah, exactly.
That's great. I've got yuzu aldehyde, also known as yuzu zest. I've also got some yuzu.
But it's a base, right? Because I think I'm always a bit confused by yuzu zest, yuzu
Yeah,
aldehyde.
it's a base. I think it's a base.
But I think it is a base, but they call it an aldehyde, which is very misleading.
Yeah.
Another citrusy thing. Do you want to
Go
smell
on.
the citrusy thing or mimosa thing? Is that
let's
citrus
see.
ingredient or mimosa perfume?
Smell. Give us a mimosa perfume and explain how it came about. Oh no, it's not
It
got
doesn't
anything on
exist
it
yet.
yet. I'm sorry, Alpha. Oh my God. It's been a long day. It's been a long It's been a long life.
Oh, are you departing?
Not on purpose.
This actually, it takes a second to. I only made this last night.
It's lovely. I'm not sure it reminds me of mimosa. But,
Yeah, I think maybe we need some more
well, what?
mimosa.
Okay.
But
And is this a base or is this a finished
this
fragrance?
is
or this
this is
what's the
an
intention?
unfinished fragrance.
Unfinished fragrance.
So it's a mimosa that becomes leathery, but kind of very clean.
It becomes leathery quite quickly. Okay. So you're riding your horse through the south of France.
That's very interesting to say that because the working title is Riviera.
Uh-huh. I don't know why that has to be in a Geordie accent.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit, does it?
Riding your horse. You're riding your horse to the south of France.
Ours. Yeah, that sounds like bear though. You say oars.
Ours. Ours. Met ours bear.
Yeah.
Not ours.
Okay. Well, that's
No.
I don't see the difference.
Okay. One's got a U in it.
If you leave the bears to Putin. But yeah. Well, we should say a tiny bit more about the ethics of copying. I guess.
Let's.
Sum it up.
I mean, Kelkin and Jelinek, there's a chapter that explains it so well. It's just beautiful. And I can't find my copy of the book.
Oh. Did you not give it away?
No. No. My precious. Somebody
I haven't got it, I
might
promise.
somebody might have nicked it, but
Yeah.
no, but it basically spelled out, it's fine to copy stuff when you're learning. There's always a genre. So there'll be a new genre and everybody goes, oh, I want one like that as well. And
Yeah.
that's sort of okay. But if somebody actually says, make one exactly like this, it's not.
Yeah.
Because that's taking somebody else's creative work, is stealing their ideas, not putting any effort in, and that is bad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does
Yeah,
that
it's
sound
true.
about-
But also, I think a lot of people, and it's also the source of the copying, as in where do you copy from? A lot of people, although I do like the vintage books, a lot of people go through all the vintage ones and the poucher and all those things, and they end up becoming almost an expert at slightly what I would consider kind of grandma-y perfumes. Like, make this by adding 2 parts tuberose base to 3 parts rose base and 5 parts heathrow base.
Yes.
All
And
of
turn
which
back
have their
several
own.
pages. Yes.
And then they have those.
Yes, white
and then
rose
you get
and red
this
rose.
these very maximalist compositions which have all sorts of old materials, very nice and very powdery and voluptuous, but probably don't do so well in the current market. Although having said that, I think you did a few that were like that and they did very well.
But that was before I knew that the formulas existed. I just made them up out of my head.
Oh, okay, well then that's different.
So
I assumed you got the books first, yeah.
Actually, the 1923 ones, the ones that I did for London University Gatsby, those those I found out what people used at that time.
And did a thing.
And
yeah.
so what I do is I have a cut-off point of materials on purpose. So I don't add anything that was available after that time. So I did research into what materials were available and then replaced natural musk with modern musks. And so it's like, oh, that's interesting. They had, so not over there, I was just pointing generally. Everyone look at the plant.
Yeah.
About something like aha, so they used lindenol. I'll bung a bit of that in and see what occurs.
Yes.
So but the Goodbye Piccadilly, for example, the 1914 one, that was just from my head. So yeah, but for exercises to do that, fine. But people copying formulas that are openly available, I think they don't necessarily realise that example formulas are put out by companies to try and sell a thing that's in it.
Yeah, and there's no obligation for an example formula to be any good. So a lot of people copy the Good Sense formulas.
Yeah, which have been copied from...
Which and they're in their thousands, and it's the biggest repository of formulas on the internet. But most of them come from patents, which are just tend to be... you can say what you like because no one's going to test them anyway. So they'll say, we used X, Y, and Z in a hyacinth, and it made it more intense. And then they don't tell you that it smells crap in both formulations.
Or more intense than what?
Yeah,
anyway,
well, exactly.
So.
It just smells more intensely crap. A lot of people copy them and they wonder why they're not very good. So I do think there is, and that's why I think what you're doing is good when you're giving people formulas that work.
Yeah.
And that aren't verified non-crap.
Yeah, thank you, because the formulas that I put on the Patreon or occasionally in other places as well, just to be nice, they are things that I have worked on. So I mean they're limited to my experience, but as you say, I do at least know that they'll smell like a perfume, and some people make
and that's
them
really
up exactly
reassuring
as
to
they
people
are.
as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously I this is when I was doing it, I was mainly going on CGSC and my own head and things like that. And some of the things on there, obviously all of the pouchy ones end up on there as well. So you get this mixture of kind of grandma-y things with strange things that don't make sense. There are some gems, of course, and there's like if you want to look up how a Delaire base works, like a mouche de saxe, there's a mouche de saxe type formula on there. But yeah, generally learning from just by recreating formulas isn't always conducive to learning yourself.